Ruby Franke has just pled guilty to 4 of the 6 counts of felony child abuse.
I just had a 12-year-old boy show up here at my front door asking for help. Ruby Franke is his mom's name.
Ms. Frankie, how do you plead to count 1, aggravated child abuse, a second-degree felony?
Guilty.
He's emaciated, he's got tape around his legs, he's hungry, and he's thirsty.
Okay.
And he asked us to call the police.
To count 3, aggravated child abuse, a second-degree felony?
Guilty.
So this boy has been... This kid has obviously been... I think he's been detained. He's obviously covered in wounds.
To count 5, aggravated child abuse, a second-degree felony?
Guilty.
He says what's happened to him is his fault.
And to count 6, aggravated child abuse, a second-degree felony?
With my deepest regret and sorrow for my family and my children, guilty.
Welcome back. I'm Jen. Thanks for taking a chance and stopping by my channel to see my analysis and review. I studied criminology, law, and society at University of California, and I got my master's degree in public policy and administration, and then got a certificate in paralegal studies at USD. I'm not a lawyer, but I do work in this field. I have education in this field, and I'm going to break this down for you really quick. Let's get salty. First, I want to go over the time she's looking at. There is no question now of whether or not Ruby Franke is going to get prison time. It's just how much. Each of the 4 counts that Ruby Franke pled guilty to carries with it prison sentence of a minimum of 1 year and a maximum of 15 years. The sentences for each of these 4 counts will run consecutively, not concurrently. That means back to back. So she'll have to finish serving 1 sentence before another sentence starts. Whatever time she gets for count 1, she'll have to finish that, then go to the next count, finish that. The judge is waiting on what's called a pre-sentencing report. The defense goes in and will either hire or have on staff some kind of a mitigation expert, which is somebody who researches Ruby Franke's life and any past experiences in childhood and traumas and things like that, and kind of put into context her actions for the court in order to mitigate the damage that she's done. And the prosecution, meanwhile, will be putting together victim impact statements from all of her victims and the people that she hurt and the people who felt the echoes of her actions. So it's altogether possible as well that the judge will give her the minimum on 1 count and more time on another count so she could get some combination. But that does range from as low as 4 years to as many as 60 years, which she won't get. Right? So I think Ruby Franke, again, she's after a redemption story arc, and she just might get it. She's getting much better treatment than she gave her kids. She's getting to sleep in a bed indoors. She's getting at least 2 meals a day and some snacks. She's getting a lawyer to advocate for her. It's quite a bit more than her children had in this case. Let's get on with it. Quick review. Ruby Franke was a mommy vlogger. She has 6 kids, a husband, soon to be ex-husband, Kevin Franke, made appearances on the channel, and she portrayed a typical good Mormon mommy, kind of showing off family life with her cute kids, and then sort of merged into more of disciplinarian style channel with these kids. And then she quit vlogging altogether and started a company with her therapist, or joined the company, I'm not really sure, but she started a podcast with this woman named Jodi Hildebrant, who is also her marriage therapist. Jodi apparently said, get rid of the husband, They told Kevin Frankie that to work on the marriage, he had to move out and have no contact with any of them. He actually blocked his kids' phone numbers in his phone at the direction of Ruby. Now Ruby is in jail along with the therapist, Jodi Hildebrant. People are coming out of the woodwork saying, this is what Jodi Hildebrant does. This is not surprising to them. And people are coming out of Ruby Franke's family saying, what? Huh? We're shocked, including Kevin Frankie. However, when I go back and watch videos on the 8 Passengers channel, which is still all there, even though it's demonetized and defunct, it's all there. And I'm not encouraging anyone to watch it, but if you want to figure out what's going on, it's there. I watched some of them, and I'm going to do some reactions to them. They're really hard to watch, knowing what we know. It all broke open when second to youngest child, Russell, who's featured in all these videos, somehow escaped the basement from Jodi Hildebrand's house, where he was left with the youngest, Eve, and got out of his bonds, which he was duct taped. And he went to the neighbor's house and asked for food and water. Frankie is represented by attorneys at Windward Law, and over the weekend they made a statement. Ruby Franke is a devoted mother and is also a woman committed to constant improvement. Frankie believed that Hildebrant, quote, had the insight to offer a path to continual improvement, and that Hildebrant, quote, took advantage of this quest and twisted it into something heinous. He went on to say that while Ruby has been incarcerated, she has, quote, actively engaged in an introspection that has allowed her to reset her moral compass and understand the full weight of her actions. Ms. Franke is committed to taking responsibility for the part she played in the events leading up to her incarceration. The plea agreement contains graphic details about the abuse. I'm just going to touch on a little bit of it here. The 12-year-old Russell, during a period of May through August, they subjected him purposefully to very serious repeated sunburns, was forced to work out in the sun in the Utah desert without water. And when he was given food, it was very plain meals, and he was even punished for secretly drinking water. So this child was really emaciated, meaning he was just skin and bones, undernourished. He was regularly being handcuffed at the hands and feet and sometimes hogtied. He was being punished this way because he'd tried to run away, specifically in July. So this child already had loose skin from the burns, and then they were using either rope or cuffs. For some reason, on the day he escaped, it was duct tape, and he got out of them. Other stuff that's more graphic, but again, I'm not going to say it on here. It's public record if you want to go look up the documents. Frankie was telling the kids that they were evil and possessed. And so on that 911 call you hear, with a neighbor called 911, you can hear Russell say that nothing bad is happening to him and it's all his fault. This neighbor is like, what if she shows up? He's not going back there. And he starts sort of gearing up for conflict. So it's a lot. And I've tried to throw it all together. Ruby entered into a plea deal with the state. So they did some things for her, and she has agreed to do some things for them. A lot of the time when a person enters a plea, they have to do something called allocution, meaning they need to stand before the court and state exactly what they did. That wasn't required in this case. She needed to just verbally plead guilty. But then there was a document that she signed, and the document states exactly what she did. So we also learned a lot more of the nitty-gritty details about this child abuse. So I'm going to warn you all right now. It's really hard to handle and hear. what they did. I got the pleasure of reading this right after binge watching a lot of the 8 Passengers videos to kind of get her baseline, because I intended to do some body language analysis of her in court. I didn't know at the time that she was going to plead. And I'm just even more shocked by hearing the details. I guess I shouldn't be. Very close to what Jodi Hildebrant's niece, Jessie, said that they went through at the hands of Jodi. It's just so hard to see. And looking back at the earlier videos of Ruby playing mom, I see that when she shows affection to the kids, she's also playing to the camera. She's turning around and looking and making sure the camera catches the hug. It seems like when the camera went away and the 8 Passengers show ended, she lost any reason to be nice to her kids, and they just faded away. So these poor kids, I can only imagine the shock. Well, actually, I can kind of imagine, because my story is not too far apart, but the shock they must have felt. They went from having a camera in their face pretty much 24/7 in their most intimate moments and being the stars of the show, to being so unrecognized that nobody noticed that they were just languishing in a basement. And they went from having to perform, to be cute all the time, to their world as I know it completely ending. Not only did they go through a divorce for their parents, and their father just disappears, becomes completely estranged from them, blocks them in the phone because the therapist said so. So everybody's shifting blame in this case onto Jodi Hildebrant, but you're going to see the reaction videos I did just before this plea came out and this allocution statement, that she's had time to reframe her moral compass. And I just don't think it's enough time for anyone to reframe their moral compass. I think that now that she's flipped on Jodi Hildebrant by way of this agreement, Ruby is going to be finding every way possible to shed any kind of blame from this and place it onto brainwashing from Jodi. Something about being a mother wanting to constantly improve herself, and that Jodi Hildebrant took advantage of that. I think that's probably true, but as many things are true, Jodi Hildebrant had a sort of a willing victim in this case. She has a mom, this woman, who is already kind of an extremist, already very punishment-oriented. It's very close to me from the Lori Vallow stuff. She is like one step away from calling her kids demons, and she's already convinced them that they're possessed. So that is in there, that the youngest 2 kids are possessed. So it gets really disturbing what she put them through, you guys. And she came out and said that she now knows what she did was wrong, and that she is guilty, and that she's so sorry. Again, I think she's more reacting to the punishment than a true conception of having hurt her kids, because this woman's baseline temperament is kind of mean. She liked being mean and hurting her kids, at least to some milder point, long before she met Jodi Hildebrant. That brings us to Kevin saying, "What? I knew nothing." Kevin's lawyered up and he's trying to get the kids. Ruby's sisters are also prominent YouTubers, and their reactions are quite odd. Can't get into all of it on the first reaction, but I'm going to try to do a few before I have to go catch my next flight. I'm going to do this by watching on my phone while this thing records. It's not my usual way, but...
Abby, Julie, these look amazing. Okay, what do you guys think of Abby and Julie's dinner?
The best enchiladas.
Julie won't even eat her own meal.
She doesn't like enchiladas.
You don't like anything. Julie's becoming a very picky eater. Not cool. I was so tired today. I said, Abby, Julie, will you guys make dinner? These look really good.
They're good, but they're hot. Me and Russell are wearing Russell clothes. See? We want to be best buddies, but we're getting a little mad here and because he won't give me his shoes. And guess what? I learned how to ride a bike with no training wheels. Come here, I'll show you.
She's completely adorable.
We used to have training wheels, but we take them off forever.
Eve, I think your helmet is getting a little too small. Do you need a new one? That is much better. Okay, now we're gonna put on her Energizer LED light on.
I'm ready to ride.
Why do I have a feeling that this is an Energizer sponsored video? Okay, doesn't matter. Sponsors are great. And it's cute that Eve's in Russell's clothes. Super cute. Awesome that she's out of training wheels. This is really adorable, this whole thing. I know it's not legally required. Parents have different opinions. And I'm not a huge stickler for knee and elbow pads at all times. I think kids should be able to like move around. But since she just got out of training wheels and she's riding around on the street, I'm wondering where's the pads?
And we're going to take advantage of our Energizer LED headlamps.
Definitely going to be
These things
sponsored.
were super handy last night when we went on a bike ride.
Yeah, we started the bike ride at around like right about now where the sun is just going down and it's like glaring in your eyes. And then by the time we got home, it was super dark. And I was like, that's not fun. We can't do that with the kids. The kids need to be able to have some light on them. So we've strapped these LED lights to all of the helmets and we plan on just riding all night tonight. Eve has something very special to show you. You guys, this is like a landmark in our family. Getting rid of the car seats is one. It's huge. Getting rid of car seats is huge. We're not quite there yet. We're still in booster seats. We're out of diapers. You guys, none of my kids had training wheels. Eve, show us your magic. Go.
Let go!
What? Holy cow!
And shorts. She's going fast and she has no
You are
shorts.
speedy
Shorts
fast!
on.
Speedy!
Oh no!
You okay? Good thing you're wearing Russell's play clothes, huh? These headlights are really cool too because they adjust where they go, so we can adjust it so it's shining just ahead of her, or if she needs to see further down the road, she can.
Is she stopping to show off the headlights while her kid is still on the ground after falling? Okay, I do appreciate that she's not like catastrophizing the fall, and that's, I think, is a good thing. I think because of how our brains work, a kid needs that moment to go through the ow and experience without having somebody like in their face. At least that's how I always was, so I'm not criticizing that. But she's like ignoring her. This woman is really into herself and not so much in her kids. And the husband seems to be just like an accessory.
Move that where she wants. She doesn't need it right now, obviously, but as we get further into the night on our bike ride, she's definitely gonna need it.
Okay. She needs her parent to help her get back on the bike.
You're doing so good. Are you okay?
Learning to fall down and get back up is a great lesson.
Head on.
So is she had no pads on.
Oh my gosh, this makes me so sentimental.
Oh.
Abby, you're the one who needs to watch where you're going. You're older. Go tell her you're sorry.
I'm so sorry.
You okay? You know, when you fall off your bike, you gotta just get back up there. Try again, okay?
As part of the rite of passage, you have to fall and cry once.
You do. You have to fall and cry and scrape up at least once. But look, it's still working.
Your light's still on.
Your light's still working.
Put your light back on.
Riding off into the sunset. These headlamps have been super useful this summer. If you guys want to have more information on them, I have a link down below. Thank you, Energizer, for sponsoring this video.
The message that if you fell down, you should not make a big deal out of it. You should just get back up and keep going. I think that is a great message. But it doesn't feel real. It feels like she's barely attending to Eve. And there's something up to me with Ruby's maternal instinct. Because when Eve fell, Kevin was there to comfort her, but Ruby, I would have been over there kind of rubbing her back, because clearly at that point she wanted comfort. And she was busy just kind of yelling at Abby and saying, well, you should have watched where you're going. Well, yeah, but you could see her disciplinarian streak here, even in a moment where comfort maybe should have been her goal. And the reason why this is jumping out to me, even though it's nothing really obvious that Ruby did, it's the way that Abby threat locked on Ruby, on her mother. And when I say threat locked, you notice Abby just stares right at her. She freezes and stares. This is something like a deer does in a headlight, or a squirrel does when a car comes around the corner. The creature, just their fight or flight, freeze or fawn instinct kicks in. It's their emergency reaction. In this case, it's the freeze reaction, where all of their brain's resources just go to watching whatever they think is the threat, to see what the threat's next move will be, so they know how to survive it. It's sad, but that clearly seems to be the reaction Abby has. She doesn't turn and check on her sister, and I doubt that's because she's heartless. I think it's because she's scared of her mother.
I think we found Eve.
I think she's hiding because she knows she's in trouble. I am so sorry to be vlogging looking like a sweaty mess like this, but Eve's been missing.
I found her!
For
Why
30
are you
minutes.
vlogging while your kid has been missing for 30 minutes before she's found, while your other kids are actually looking?
Get
What
out
the heck,
from underneath
lady?
my bed. Right now.
Sherry found her.
I write that song.
You wrote that song, Dead Skin? You're gonna have to write, I'm dead now, because you're in so much trouble. Look at me. You're going straight to bed, and you don't get dessert today. We're all gonna go out and get a cookie.
And play a family game.
Eve, you cannot be in my room and do that.
The cotton balls. Should be in there.
I don't have any. Will you go in your bathroom and get some? Russell, go take these and throw them in the garbage can. We had family dinner, and I don't have any. Will you go in your...
I want to comment on Sherry's reaction. That threat lock I was just talking about that Abby did, Sherry just did the same thing. Sherry found Eve. She pulls Eve out, and Sherry has an extremely maternal reaction to these kids. Sherry threat locks on Ruby too. She's staring at Ruby, not at the camera, waiting for Ruby's reaction and trying to mitigate Ruby's reaction by emphasizing sort of how cute Eve is being. Oh look, she found dead skin. Isn't it cute? She's being cute. Don't be hard on her. Right? Sherry, out of those four, she's having the fawn reaction. So we see Abby freeze. Ruby likes her frozen, where nobody is protesting. That's what Ruby seems to get so angry at, is the appalling gall of her own children to protest against her iron fist. So yeah, what we're seeing here is Sherry's survival technique of fawning. And if this happened for me, I would just say, oh my, your nails look beautiful. Next time, please ask me, don't do this by yourself. And put a child lock on it or something, anything but shame and punish the kid for a month. A 5-year-old or however old Eve was at this time, she absolutely has no ability to conceive of the length of time that is a month. So the only purpose of making this a month long is to just exaggerate and shame and really just grind into her identity that she effed this up. And this is what happens. She loses things when she does something, anything that her mother tells her not to do. And the punishment seems like way beyond the scope of, and she feared the consequences because she fears her mom's wrath.
I was looking and looking and looking for Eve, and I was like, why isn't Eve at the dinner table yet? She usually comes to dinner.
And here Sherry is helping to clean it up, so she's mitigating the anger toward Eve.
Get some. Russell, go take these and throw them in the garbage can. We had family dinner, and I was looking and looking and looking for Eve, and I was like, why isn't Eve at the dinner table yet? She usually comes to dinner as soon as I call her. And then I go looking outside. We've been looking for 30 straight minutes for her, and I was starting to get worried, and I was like, okay, we're gonna start calling around the neighborhood, and if I can't find Eve in the next 20 minutes, I'm calling the police.
30 minutes plus 20 minutes. That's almost an hour. That's 50 minutes. How do you not know where your 5-year-old is in your home for an hour during active looking, and you're just starting to get worried after 30 minutes?
And then I found this. You only got a little gist of it on camera. All of the discipline takes place off camera. But one of the consequences is she will not be getting her nails painted for a solid month. And that's like her favorite thing, is to have me do her nails.
Actually, a lot of it takes place on camera. So what is she called discipline that we don't call discipline? Again, she's 5. Cognitive abilities for a 5-year-old is not at what that she's treating her like she's a selfish little adult. My goodness. It's nail polish on the tile floor. Come on, it comes off. Worse things happen when you have a bunch of kids. You are so blessed to have these kids. What the...
And she's going to have to go without for a month until she learns that she's not old enough to do this yet by herself. All right, verdict is in. We saved the floor. It came off the tile okay. But I think my rug is totaled.
But aren't you glad it happened that way and not the other way around?
It came off the tile okay.
Well, I know, but aren't you glad?
I'm glad it came off the tile and
So you have to look at the bright side.
Thank you, Sherry.
The tile is good, and it would have been a lot more expensive than to replace at most $100 rug.
It's not $100, yeah. Not that expensive. Okay.
Sherry is managing her mother to mitigate her mother's anger. She's a very clever girl.
Eve wants to say sorry.
Okay, you tell her to come here. Come here. Come here.
Sorry, Mom.
Sorry for what?
I'm sorry for making a mess, and
I am more upset that you came in my room when you knew you weren't supposed to. And you got into my things that you knew were not yours. That makes me more upset than making a mess. Because messes happen, but you were sneaking. And then you hid instead of telling me the truth.
I was just really sorry, and I didn't mean to do it. And then I said I shouldn't have done this idea.
You knew that it was a bad idea.
Yeah.
You're still going to have the consequence of not having your nails done for a month. Do you understand that?
Yes. And I still want to buy you one of the Nutter rugs.
You still want to buy me a new rug? Maybe you can do some extra chores to help them with the money.
Mom.
It's a deal. Give me a hug.
Mom, can I help you too to get paid? Because I want a lot of money.
You.
I apologize.
Okay, I need some time alone. I need some space. My kids have helped me finish raising myself. I swear. Just because you turn 18 does not mean you're a full-grown, mature adult. There's nothing magic about the number 18.
These kids are adorable. Russell's clever. Again, I don't think that she's quite moved into the complete and total control freak that she morphed into later. The message that she's more upset that they came into her space. You're a mom. First of all, it's something many people haven't already said about this, but she's never giving her kids any privacy, especially in big moments like punishments and lessons. They're all while the camera is in their face. They never get that one-on-one intimacy with their kids. And if you know anything about a kid around this age of 5 or 6, they're into that idea of, I want to tell you a secret, and giving you information that is not really a secret, but it enables a sense of intimate, special relationship between the kid and the parent. Also developmentally, and during this phase where they realize that information in their head isn't information that everybody else has in their head. It's called theory of mind, when you realize that your thoughts are private. And so it's natural and normal for kids to play with that. And Ruby seems to see all of this through a lens of malicious manipulation, which is really, it's so toxic as to be skin curling. It's almost time for me to check out of this hotel, so let's get to the end here.
I think having kids has helped raise me, because it makes me focus more on controlling myself than controlling them. And it is so hard to do. Wow!
So, just in case any of you guys thought I was losing by a lot, joke's on you, I'm winning because I'm trying to get the lowest score possible.
Poor Sherry's in high school, and she has her entire life on television for people to find. No privacy at home, so imagine what that's like, trying to have friends and a boyfriend, and this over-controlling mom and an oblivious father. This woman, Ruby Franke, is blessed with such a beautiful family, and she resents them. It's amazing how she just takes for granted being a mother and has no real maternal instinct at all. You know that woman at work that maybe she's in HR or maybe she's in management, and she just has zero empathy for others? She can sympathize, but only when something about that person, it reminds them of her. Like, oh, never mind, you're into the same thing I am, you're like me? Oh, you're like me. And then they're less of an asshole to you, you know? She's astonishing lack of self-awareness and zero ability to put herself in someone else's shoes and see life from their perspective versus hers. Ruby don't sonder. Instead of guidance, she's all about vice grip control. Control of herself, control of them, because it sounds like she either doesn't like herself very much or fears herself, and she seems to be projecting onto them what she dislikes most about herself. When she's not doing that, she seems to be incredibly jealous and coveting her kids, and that brings out this anger and this desire to punish and inflict pain on them, psychological pain. All right, stay salty.